Hi, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times. On Monday, July the 18th, the big news today is in Cleveland, Ohio, where the Republican National Convention is underway. All the delegates should be safe outside on the grounds of the convention center. Numbers of people are carrying rifles openly, assault weapons, many of them, just to show how safe an open carry law makes the state. What could go wrong with a lot of people carrying semi-automatic rifles outside? Mike Huckabee won't be speaking to the convention after all. Fox News said that it couldn't be paid by them to be a commentator and also speak at a partisan event, although Fox is pretty partisan, so Huck went for the money, not too surprising. Leslie Rutledge, the Attorney General, will be speaking. She made some people in Arkansas unhappy today with an interview in which she said nobody in Arkansas wants Hillary again. I wonder how a matchup between Hillary and Leslie Rutledge would do on a ballot. I think on the IQ test, one would win. You decide. Asa Hutchinson said he doesn't think it's a good idea for the Republican National Convention to bring up Bill Clinton's sex life in the past. Hutchinson, you may remember, was a House manager of Clinton's impeachment. That didn't go too well. Asa speaks from experience. I think the subject's going to come up nonetheless. And Tom Cotton, who also will be a speaker, was making the rounds of state delegations today. People who saw him speak said he stopped short of mentioning Donald Trump by name, talked about Republican victories, perhaps his own in 2020. He's widely viewed as a man getting ready to run for a presidential race himself in 4 more years after Trump loses. And by the way, Donald Trump's ghostwriter who helped write his best-selling biography said that he fears that if Trump becomes president and gets a nuclear football, the end of the world may be nigh. So there's an endorsement for you. In other news, the Cherokee Nation has contributed $1 million to the petition campaign to put an amendment on the ballot in Arkansas to legalize 3 casinos, one of which would be operated by the Cherokee Nation. Johnny Key, the state education director, has named the 7 members of the community advisory board that will serve as a quasi-school board for the Little Rock School District. It's no surprise that they are generally Republicans, charter school backers, and nobody who fought for the preservation of a democratically elected Little Rock School Board. They include a former school board member with close ties to the Asa Hutchinson administration. The fix was in other words. We learned over the weekend that they're out of Black Lives Matters t-shirts at the Mosaic Templars Cultural Center, the Museum of African American History in Arkansas. Is that to be restocked by the store or not? The director of the Heritage Department, Stacy Hirsch, won't say. It's kind of a touchy subject with them. Little Rock Police residency is an issue again. City Director Irma Hendricks thinks that the police should be required to live in the city. She tried this once before and the measure was defeated. I suspect it'll be defeated again, but it's an issue worth talking about. This is a minority city. That is, whites only make up 40%, but they make up 2/3 of the police force, and only 1 in 5 Little Rock white police officers live in the city. They send a clear message that Little Rock is not a good place to live, yet it's a place we pay them to serve and protect. I don't doubt they work to serve and protect us, but you do have to wonder about people that don't want to be a part of the city they work in. And the reasons are not solely the price of real estate, as the Fraternal Order Police tries to say. They settled an uprising in Turkey with a put down of a military coup. There was an Arkansas angle at it. The leader of Turkey wants to extradite a Muslim cleric who lives in the United States, who happens to be the father behind many charter school chains in the United States. One of those chains happens to have several outposts in Little Rock, just for the small world department. Finally, something you ought to read in Huffington Post, an interview with Leticia Villarreal. She was a Mexican undocumented immigrant arrested in Arkansas on a drug charge, sent to prison in Arkansas, became one of the rape victims of Kenneth DeWitt, a prison chaplain who used his position to demand sex from inmates in his religious program. She's spoken out so she can help others. The other 2 women are still in prison. He may serve only 1 year in prison before it's all over for raping 3 women. There's no national outcry on behalf of women in prison, as there has been for some collegiate sex assault victims, and they're no different. They're victims like anybody else. And finally, a sad note, the passing of Dallas O. Bump. He was 98 years old. The name may not be familiar. He lived in Tiny Bear in Garland County. He was judged a living treasure in Arkansas several years ago for the wonderful rocking chairs he made. He was a 3rd-generation craftsman. His rocking chairs were so famous, the best in the world, he called them, that one is on permanent display at the Smithsonian Institution. We'll miss him, but people will keep rocking in his chairs. Goodbye to Dallas Bump. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.